Actor, Dennis, musician Henry Rollins come from different generations and different segments of the entertainment world. They have little in common except a murder. They've been bonded by the blood of young Joseph Cole. One night in Venice, California, Joseph Cole, Dennis is for his killer.
Actor Dennis Cole knows a lot about the violence you see in the movies or on TV. It looks real, but when the scene is done, the actors get up and walk away.
415 gunshots.
In real life, you can't always walk away. And on December 19th, 1991, the bullets and the blood were all too real. That's when Dennis Cole's son Joseph was shot to death in front of his house in the beachfront community of Venice, California.
I still don't believe it's real. My realization is when I go to the cemetery to see my son, and that's what I have left, just a plaque. It's not a right thing. I mean, here's a young man, 30 years old. He was just coming into his own.
Joe Cole shared a house with punk rock musician and author Henry Rollins. While Rollins explores dark themes in his work, he came face to face with real violence that night.
Murder is, that's the worst word I know.
The night Joe Cole was killed, he and Henry Rollins were walking through their neighborhood on this sidewalk. Each was carrying a bag of groceries. They were almost home when suddenly, out from the shadows behind this fence, two armed men confronted them.
One guy was on Joe, one guy was on me, and the guy who was on me was doing most of the talking. He seemed to be in control of the situation. And he patted me down to see if I had a gun, which I thought was really weird. And then he said, "Where's your money?" And I kind of pointed to a pocket, and he took the money I had. And then he said, "Get down on your knees." And I did, and he put the gun at the back of my head. And I looked over, and Joe was lying face down on the sidewalk with the gun at the back of his head.
Rollins and Cole were then told to go into the house. Henry Rollins went first, using his key to open the door. He stepped inside.
And from behind me, I heard a few gunshots, and I just froze there with my hands up. And then after the gunshots finished, I ran out the back.
Police say this bullet hole shows how the killers tried to shoot Rollins as he ran. Investigators are asking for your help in finding two suspects.
We need someone who knows something about the murder. Either the suspects talked to that person or told them something about the murder.
The prime suspect is a male black, 25 to 30 years old. He has a medium build with an angular face. The night of the murder, he had a mustache and beard. The other suspect is described only as a black male. The two detectives working this homicide vow they will find the suspects no matter how long it takes.
We want to solve this crime more than anything. It's a crime of greed, of hate, or whatever.
The guy who did this to Joe, I'm sure, really doesn't care. And the thing that is so infuriating is if the guy ever met Joe, he would have liked Joe.
A lot of people like Joseph Cole. He was a musician, writer, tennis pro, photographer. Shortly before his death, he had photographed and designed this calendar in hopes of helping the homeless. Dennis Cole is now determined to do something about the kind of violence that took his son's life. This actor lays part of the blame on his own industry.
The other night, I was turning between two channels, and they had these two karate films, and everyone was shooting one another, and you just don't see so much shot. You have to see what happens when the bullet hits them. I mean, this has been, for me, I mean, I look at this and all I can do is think about what happened to my son. And we've become so desensitized until this happens to us.
The people who knew and loved Joseph Cole want everybody to know that murder is very real and that it changes things forever.
An interesting concept I came up with thinking about all this is now that someone else does the crime and I do the time. Some guy did the crime, now I'm doing the time for it. I'm doing the life sentence for this. Because, I'll think about it every day just like the guy who did it.
Joseph Cole's killers walked away from his body with a grand total of $40. That's all they got. That and a possible date with a gas chamber when you help bring them in. If you have any information in the murder of Joseph Cole, please call Prime Suspect now. The toll-free number is 1-800-892-PRIME. Up next on Prime Suspect.